Okay, I'm not gonna rant as bad on this episode of Wizard Barristers because, at the very least, the ending managed to wrap up some of the plot holes this episode that didn't make the logic completely just shit like last episode or the episode before that. This probably, honestly, was my favorite episode. It really was. Now, I'm not gonna say this is top tier quality for a detective type freaking anime or manga series I've ever seen, but at the very least, it was, I guess, a good watch. It wasn't the best thing. Now, one thing that really upsets me about this episode, and it's mainly because of when I'm reading a story like this, or watching a story, and pretty much, or reading a novel of a detective series, I want something that I cannot predict, something that's unpredictable, something that makes me shocked at what I'm seeing, even if it is predictable, at the very least, lead the events up into that conclusion really good. It felt like they revealed the entire trump cards of this episode way too early. Because right at the beginning, we have the detective pretty much apprehend the actual culprit, and pretty much we find out that he killed 15 freaking wizards, which was freaking crazy. And I like the way the actual character that killed the 15 different wizards really managed to portray the personality well. He did a good job. The voice actor managed to do that properly. And you could really get the sense of how freaking demented he was when he was trapped in the locked up room when he got Cecil actually talking to him. But the way they revealed at the end when we get to see wind magic like knock the victim or whatever and knock the detectives back, I was thinking, okay, so either there's a second culprit or one of those people can actually use magic. So that's pretty much what popped in my head. First thing, literally less than a minute in this episode. So right there, I instantly knew it was probably going to be two culprits. Well, they go in the freaking trial. We find out that supposedly they're accusing the victim of killing 15 wizards and that he's trying to go for, I guess, you know, a mental disability disorder to where he could get off scot-free, go to a life sentence in prison instead of getting executed, and pretty much can just, you know, get his medicine facility to where he could be fine. And so, I knew right there that this was going to be predictable, and supposedly he was going to be faking his entire illness. I knew it. It goes to prove matters when the brother pops out of nowhere, pretty much starts talking to the Wizard Barrister Agency, and states he wants them to defend his brother that's supposedly psychotic, killed 15 people, it was a nice brother in the past, and just, you know, has a, you know, different personality disorder. So what I'm getting at is, it is so painfully obvious watching this episode that I really couldn't enjoy it in the entire aspect of the mystery and the frills of this episode. I don't know if it's very predictable for other people, I don't know, but when I'm watching an anime like this, I really look at it cold and hard and try to figure out the facts of what's going on in the case, and that's probably why I found so many plot holes in the previous episodes because of it. You know, one thing that mainly agitated me a lot about this episode, one thing in particular, and it really didn't get explained a lot, was the fact of the non-magical room where you couldn't use magic. Cecily walks into a room, sits at a freaking, like, table with the dude she's accusing of lying about pretty much his brother being, like, psychotic, and walks in the room, sits down, and finds out she can't use magic. So, that was incredibly freaking stupid. I don't know if it's just me, but if you're going to accuse someone of being a murderer, a liar, or he lied in court, would you walk into a room alone? A dark room alone. That's that fucking big. That big. You saw how big that room was? She had to walk at least a good freaking 2 or 3 minutes to get into the center of that room. So why the hell would she walk into a room that freaking big and not feel like she can defend herself? I mean, of course, people are going to bring up the fact that she didn't know she couldn't use magic. Of course. But why in the hell would you walk in a room alone? Alone with someone like that? You don't do that, even if you can use magic. That's a sign of overconfidence. You don't do that. I mean, she didn't even probably knew if he could use magic or not. So what I'm getting at is, she went in there blind, which some detectives do in other series, which is fine. But she had nothing to back up. She didn't let anyone know where she was. So pretty much that was really stupid freaking logic. That agitated me. Some people will probably complain about that fact, I know for a fact. But if you have another opinion from mine, leave a comment below the video and let me know what you think about that. Now, I will say though, the entire conclusion of the ending of this episode managed to pretty much wrap up some of the logic fails I saw in this episode. For one, the brother revealing that he wasn't psychotic and that he actually remembered memories when he was licking the freaking glass wall on Cecily when she put her ear to him. So that was pretty stupid in his opinion, revealing that, but I mean, it all led up to the point of this ending of finding out that the actual major villain most likely is the detective that we thought was a good guy since the very first episode, and he's trying to make Cecily awaken her abilities for some freaking reason. Now, I don't understand why they're trying to awaken her abilities, probably trying to make her extremely strong, but if I had to bring up theories on that, if I really did, I want to say it has something to do with that Grimoire 365, I think. So maybe they're trying to activate this Grimoire to be able to cast some form of massive magical spell. I have no clue. But that's one thing I'm going at, because I can see how the plot is starting to center around that. That Grimoire seems to be the major plot aspect, and there's a lot going on around Cecily's mother's case. I mean, it seems like they're either trying to cover it up or they were trying to frame her in a certain way. So I'm curious exactly what is going on with that case, and I think the next couple episodes we might actually get some form of really good plot developing. Speaking of plot developing, this episode actually was not an episodic episode. It actually flowed in the end towards the next episode. For instance, if you look past the past couple episodes, yes, they've had subtle hints into the next episode. Okay, we've been learning the laws of the world, but there really hasn't been a case that moves over into the next episode like this episode did. I mean, of course, we got to the conclusion that both brothers were accused, yes, but we saw how at the end they were talking to the actual, I'm guessing, main villain that we thought was just a regular detective. So, I still have hopes for the series, I do, and they managed to, I guess, fill a little bit of the plot holes this episode. I will agree with that. It wasn't so much stupid logic this episode besides the room bit, but honestly, I like the animation quality, and I'm just, I have to say, there's probably some serious dark foreshadowing going on in this series, and I see a lot of foreshadowing in the future, with some dark things, probably characters dying, and different powers that Cecily is going to be awakening. Now, there was one scene, too, there was a fan service scene in this episode I really did not like. That entire scene where she's coming to a conclusion about the brother actually remembering, events, even though he has a personality disorder, and you see Bond, or whatever, the freaking frog, trying to grab Cecily's boobs, fondle him, and she's just pushing him down in the water. That was a very stupid scene. Why the hell would you put a scene like that? I mean, that was a very serious freaking plot moment. I mean, that scene actually was when the episode really started reaching its climax point. You don't add stupid fan service in a scene like that. If you're gonna add fan service, okay, don't add it in a scene that really is important to the episode or progressing the plot in the right direction. That is the fan service that is crap. You don't do that. Besides that, this is going to be the end of my anime review on Wizard Barristers this week. Tell me what you think about this episode. I'm sorry if I did rant a little bit on it, but it's not as bad as last week. This episode, at the very least, managed to have some form of entertainment. Hopefully, they have less predictable cases in the future. And anyways, guys, you have a wonderful day or night, wherever you live. Chibi out.